Hey, good evening, everybody. This is the pup with our trading edge, and just doing a little midweek roundup, see where we're at, and talk a little bit about what we've saw this week, what we've traded, and what we're potentially going to be trading for the next couple of days. So rather than waste some time talking, let's just dive into the charts. So we're looking at SPY. We're going to be looking at the daily charts, and I am using the TrendSpider system, and I'm going to go on to my RainDrop Charts just to give you a little bit of a spicy look. If you're not familiar with TrendSpider, it's one of the most fascinating and more forward-thinking charting platforms out there right now. If you haven't taken a look at it, feel free to reach out to me, DM me, private message me. I'll get you a free 7-day trial and a nice discount to boot. Really love the guys and what they're doing over at TrendSpider. I've been on the system about 8 months, have nothing but amazing things to say about it. So having said that, we are looking pretty bullish, breaking out over here at around 332 on the SPY. You can see we are above our green 20 simple moving average. Let me turn off these anchored VWAPs. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it does look like we are approaching our all-time high. We're going to be getting there very soon. We're only a couple of percentage points off. Looks like, yeah, just about 6 points or so, 7 points or so on the SPY. So we're looking pretty good right now. Nothing really much more to say about SPY. Next up are the Qs. And you could see we did lose our trend line right here, and we've been riding this 20 simple moving average. You guys know I love the 20 simple moving average. And certainly we did have this blue raindrop, which signified a change in direction. And here we are right back on our trend line. Now I did have log on, so let me turn the log off. And you can see that we are still in this trend. We're riding this trend line right here. So definitely take a look at the Qs. We did consolidate a little bit here between 251 and 269. So I do anticipate that we are going to move higher. Next up is IWM, the small caps. Look at this, ascending triangle. Beautiful setup. So you could see we have this volume shelf that's developed right here. Now, anybody that knows anything about TrendSpider and how I use TrendSpider, I love using these volume shelves. They act as launching pads. How do I use it? I take my volume by price tool and I move it to the previous swing low. It gives me the price shelf right here. And I like to have my little volume pillows set up down here in case we do lose our shelf. We see this volume gap right here. We tend to lose it pretty quickly and hit this shelf. Don't see this happening. We do have an ascending triangle here, and I do believe we will be breaking out. So let's talk a little about, we talked about the indexes. Let's talk about stocks. Let's talk about Square. Can we have a minute to talk about Square? I mean, wow. How many times do you see an earnings report leaked? I mean, I've seen it maybe twice in my trading career, maybe 3 times. I had a lot of our members message me who were in trades in Square. We were planning to exit those trades. We were in a particular setup. However, it did wound up working out pretty well for us. So I can go down to the 5-minute. Actually, I can't because I'm on the RainDrop charts, but I can go down to the 10-minute and show you exactly what we did. So we did gap up here right around 152. We initially were going to play the 150 calls, but pre-market started to ramp up, so we moved up to the 155s. We entered on market open and sold just about at this third, actually it was in this first 10 minutes. I was going to say the third 3-minute candle. Normally we will trade off the 3-minute candle in the beginning, but we did exit like right around 158. So I mean, it was an excellent trade, captured about 35% of the premium. And you could see we sold off for the rest of the day. So we had a nice, downtrend line. Tried to break out here at the end, but just really couldn't. So having said that, if we do move right to the gap up candle and we throw on our anchored VWAP, you could see that the anchored VWAP basically from the gap up acted as resistance, and even more so than that, and I should really take off the 20 simple moving average because that's not applicable on the 10 minute for me. We are building a little bit of a volume shelf here, so I am anticipating if we don't continue to gap down tomorrow, we could potentially base at 146 and potentially come back and test 157. So let's keep an eye on Square. They did have a fantastic report. I am anticipating them to continue to move up in the coming days and weeks. Let's go on Square. Next up is PayPal, Square's arch nemesis. If you follow iPay, you know the payment systems have been moving, and so Square, their Cash App absolutely crushed it. Record sales with Bitcoin in the Cash App. Let's talk about Bitcoin another day, but that's going to be another topic we're going to discuss. But you could see we had a little bit of a wedge formation here. We had a raindrop develop, somewhat of a balloonish raindrop, gapped up into a blue raindrop, and now we're off to the races over 202. I do expect PayPal to continue. A little concerned about this gap below, but gaps don't necessarily have to close. And if they do close, they don't necessarily have to close right away. So we've been playing PayPal on the daily. I particularly played it on the break of 198.50, I believe, or it was, yeah, I think it was 198.50. And we sold into strength at 122.50, again, for a nice 25-30% trade. That's what we do in the room. We do swing trades, we do day trades, and we do scalps. We do it all. There's 3 top traders, myself, Nick C, Printing Profits, and then we have 4 other expert traders in the room that guide our 250 plus members. We do trade talks every Tuesdays and Thursdays where we do educational classes. We do the midweek review, very similar to what I'm doing here, but more specific to the members and what we're trading. And then on Sundays, we do our Sunday evening call at 8 p.m. on Zoom, giving you the weekend review and what we're seeing for next week. Moving on. Lululemon has been on our radar for quite some time. We've had this rising wedge, this bull pennant forming. Look at what we had developed today. We did enter the trade over 330 today. Why? Because we were anticipating a break of 336 and a potential run to 350. Well, guess what? We got our balloon raindrop over resistance. What does that mean? Generally, it means a continuation for the next day. So we were already up pretty well on our Lululemon calls. I anticipate we will be doing pretty well tomorrow as well. Moving on. So anybody that follows me on Twitter, you guys know I re-entered this Nikola trade right under $30. I did see it base here. I believe the lowest was 29.23 on this particular raindrop. So I saw this particular trend line right here, and as soon as we broke about, I think it was like 3 days ago, I started to build a position. And over the last 2 to 3 days, I've continued to build my position. I did hold through earnings because I was higher than 8 to 10%. Generally speaking, if I have 8 to 10% in my shares moving into earnings and the expected move is less than what I'm holding in percentage, I will keep it through earnings. If I do get an earnings gap down, I will add more. If it continues to go up, well, thank you very much, Mr. Nikola. So I do think that, as long as we hold over this 29.30 level, I think we're okay. I don't mind if we consolidate a little bit between $35 and $40. Consolidation is good. It'll build ourselves a nice volume shelf. I'll pull it back to the IPO, and you can see we're starting to build a little bit of a shelf here. So I don't mind holding Nikola for the medium term. I know some of you all, out there think of this as a scam, and I think that's a fair argument. But for me personally, I only trade, the technicals, and I trade, what's in front of me. I don't care so much about the fundamentals, so to speak. All right, next up is Run. Run was one of my personal trades that I gave to the group yesterday morning. Uh, Beautiful. I mean, was it yesterday morning? Yes, it was yesterday morning because we did have this flag breakout, and I noticed we were coming up to this 40.50 level, which was a previous high over here. And basically the trade was enter on 40.50. We entered on 40.50. I personally took profit once we broke this 43.11 level, thinking that we would potentially stop there, maybe retest this 40.50 breakout level. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I was wrong, and I'm happy to admit I was wrong. You know who wasn't wrong? All the members in the room that stayed in the trade. And guess what? They were rewarded because now we're sitting pretty at 46.40. Congratulations. I was just surprised that we literally had run, and we got 8% on that trade. I was planning to re-enter the trade if we did break 43.11 today. I did set my alert. I saw it go off. I had just taken other positions, and I just wasn't going to force the trade. So congratulations to our members who took this trade and stayed in. You did really, really well. Next up is Workhorse. So Workhorse, I've been building a little bit of a position under 1692. As long as we hold this symmetrical triangle or a flag pennant, however you want to call it, I'm happy for that. As long as we're staying within this range, I'm continuing to build my position. I'm banking on us getting this infrastructure bill passed. If we get the infrastructure bill passed, Workhorse will be a recipient of some of those funds. Maybe not directly, but certainly indirectly with all the construction projects that are going to go on. If you don't know what Workhorse does, they manufacture electric construction vehicles. So keep your eye on this. If you're not in it, the safer trade is to wait till over $20. Next up is CRON. Marijuana stocks have been on the rise a little bit here. I noticed this double bottom here from March and May in CRON. And, potential wedge forming here. So I am looking to potentially get a trade over this it's 731 is what I have, but basically anything over 721 to 750. Ideally, if you can get it over this downtrend line up here, this top line trend line over 750, I think that's a safer trade. Potentially looking to take profits in the $9 range. Next up is ROKU. ROKU has been really a nice trade for us. We've treated us really, really well. We did trade this area right here. We played the consolidation. We played the breakout back into this 144 level. That was the second trade. And now the third trade, we did play this flag breakout here into resistance at 169. So we did have a lot of profit in general in the room, and so I wound up rolling up with some profits on a lotto. It looks like price came back down, I think around to 159, give or take. So the lotto isn't looking so hot, but my lotto is going to be for I think it's the 190s for 814. So it is for next Friday. So it's very possible that ROKU turns the ship around. They did have pretty good numbers for their earnings, so I am anticipating this to turn the ship around. At the very worst, potentially consolidate and make its move back up potentially next week. Next up, another fantastic trade. Sadly, I did exit before earnings. I did have enough, but I didn't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, and I exercised my shares and claimed my 15% profit. Very happy for that. But you can see what I saw. We had this beautiful upwards channel moving. And, I saw the retest of the down of this line right here. And basically my trade was over here. It was the break of this line over this raindrop and this balloon raindrop, and it just went, from 107 to 131. I mean, my thought process was playing this to the top of the channel. Now I did sell a little before that, and why? because, look, we didn't hit the top of the channel here. So I didn't want to get, the entire burger. All I wanted was the meat. But in this case, I got the meat, I got the lettuce and the tomatoes and the special sauce. I just didn't get the buns, and I'm okay with that. We don't want to get greedy. We get greedy and then we can lose profit. So I'm pretty happy with the trade. I think I called it pretty well. A bunch of the guys and gals in the room took the trade and did pretty well on it as well. I'm very happy for that. Next up is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is another trade that I took. I'm going to hide my trade plan. If you want to see that trade plan, you got to join us in the room, right? But let me turn my 20 simple moving average back on. And you can see we've been riding the 20 simple moving average. If you are buying pullbacks to the 20, you're a very happy camper with NVIDIA. We did have a little bit of a dip below here and a little bit of a dip below here, but guess what? They didn't close below the 20. So for me, that keeps me in the trade. You could have gotten in down here at $250 and just ridden the 20 simple moving average all the way up till now. Now we are a bit extended here at 451. We are riding a little high above that 50, and you'll notice when we come high off the 50, we usually come back and test it. When we come high off the 50, we usually come back and test it. Well, guess what? We're high off the 50 again. So I'm anticipating we either consolidate back into the 20 or potentially come back. I don't know if we'll retest this 428 breakout level, but I definitely feel like 450 being a round number, your psychological, resistance now turn / support. This could be a potential pivot play. So keep your eye on this. Ultimately, my target is 481. Next up is AMD. God, the guys and the gals in the room have absolutely crushed this trade. I have a little PTSD from AMD in my last two previous trades. I think over here, thinking it was going to be a breakout, failed, lost money. Same here, failed, lost money, learned my lesson. I did take the trade here, and I scalped some money back that AMD owed me, but I'm still not break even on the year for AMD. But geez, if I would have stayed in this trade, it just paid so well, right? We're now sitting at $86 or $85. I think we're headed ultimately to $100. For those of you who have taken this trade, congratulations. But keep in mind, look how far above the 20 simple moving average we are. We're about $20 over the 20. So just be careful, right? Just be careful and manage your trades. A couple of other trades that came up this week, AVGO, Broadcom. I did have a trade plan for this. The trade was over 319. I personally didn't take this trade. Pretty much, I come up with a lot of trade plans for the group. I don't always take my trades for the simple reason that I have a set rule plan. And my rule plan basically states that I'm only going to enter and hold X amount of stocks or X amount of trades, per company. So if I have a trade plan, I'm happy to share it with our members, but I may not necessarily take it for myself if it doesn't, if my rule set doesn't abide by the trade. And with AVGO, it's not necessarily the type of trade that I would take. It's not necessarily the type of company that I would invest in, but I do know that a lot of the guys and gals in the room do. So I came up with this trade, and it was basically buying a close over 319.26 with our first target of 328, which we did hit today, and our next target of 337. Ultimately, I think we're headed to 350. If AVGO continues to go up, and and seems like it will, our next potential resistance will be at our 337 level, and then from there up to 350. And then finally, we're going to leave you off with NVTA. NVTA, my stock pick of 2020. Boy, this is such a cool stock. Our friend Art from Tessie called this trade out last year. We did pretty well on it. We were waiting for price to come back down to $16. I actually took the trade right about here, right at this break of the 20 with this balloon raindrop. And man, 3 days later, boom, we just skyrocketed. And I sold right into $30. And it was a great trade. You know, we did come back. I did get back in. I did sell the pop again. I really want to hold on to this share, but I have this habit of taking profits. I don't know what's wrong with me. In any event, I did re-enter the trade down here, and I'm starting to build my position now back over the 20 simple moving average. I will compound over 33.47. I will compound over probably $37, and I'll start to look to manage a trade over 40. I do love this stock. Kathy Woods really is a big proponent of NVTA. They've been building a position for quite some time now. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's their second biggest holding next to Tesla. So this is a stock that you can hold possibly for 2 to 3 years and see triple digits. You know, this is easily $100 plus stock. So that is my midweek review. This is a new segment for me. Let me know what you think about it. I'm happy to do this every week if you feel it provides value to you. This is free from my heart to your eyes. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Good luck in the markets on Thursday and Friday, and we'll catch you out there. Have a good night.